Sweetie Candy Vigilante issue number 2. Run this town. What the hell just happened? The bartender says to Pixie. And she says, doesn't that hurt? What does that mark mean? As she grabs her wrist and looks at it, and there is a heart with Sweetie in the middle of it. But the bartender has a big ol' X on his. As he picks up Pixie and throws her to the ground, she says, dude, what does it mean? You told her that you would do whatever she said. Yeah, that's the thing that I say when I want to avoid getting my face melted off by some lethal pixie stick powder. Pixie now says, well, we gotta get this place cleaned up before she comes back. And then you hear someone say, oh, that's a shame. And you see a man wearing a candy necklace, and he takes a shot of liquor and he walks over to Pixie. He holds out her hand, and they both have the same branded tattoo on them that says Sweetie with a heart around it. He holds up the candy necklace and says, take a bite. Pixie's like, no thank you, and who are you? He says, Sweetie marked you. Good news is now you're one of us. The bartender jumps in and says, I hate to break up this tender moment between you and this sugar fairy. As the man looks at the bartender and says, you gotta know, this isn't gonna end well for you. The bartender yells, what the hell does this mean to us? And who the fuck are you? And how did you get in here? He looks at the bartender and he says, please stop screaming. I assure you, you have just enough time to do this. And as soon as we wrap things up here, the bartender just yells at him, oh, really? You think I'm gonna stand here and just listen to some boy band looking hipster jacked up on Skittles? Tell me, what fucking time is it? Some killer just fucking strolls in and offs everyone because she can't get her ice cream? Then she tells me I am now working for some magical gumdrop tree and I gotta clean up the crime scene because the Easter Bunny is coming? Is that some bullshit? He looks up and down at the Christmas tree and then looks back at the bartender and says, boy band? I think you meant to say ice cream bunny, sir. Oh, fuck you, lost boy. I don't know what the hell is going on over here or who is behind this crazy shit, but I am done. You need to get back on your bicycle and ride the fuck back to Billiesburg now. Now the bartender pulls out his phone to call the owner of the bar, Scurvy. But he says, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Now Pixie and the bartender start to argue as the phone falls on the ground and it smashes. The bartender now picks up Dixie by her throat and he says, you bitch, now you are done. And he grabs a broken bottle and he is going to stab her in her neck. And right before he does, the man grabs the bartender's hand and tosses him over the table. And as he jumps up, he is transforming into a wolf. He grabs the bartender by the neck and says, Sweetie knows a rotten egg when she sees one. If you had any good in you, this wouldn't happen. His brand on his arm is an X, not a circle, with Sweety in the middle of it. It knows when you've been good or bad. Remember when I said you had plenty of time to scream? Well, now would be a good time as the wolf jumps at the bartender and he rips a hole right through his chest and he is holding his heart. And he looks up at Pixie and she says, oh my God, please, please don't eat me. as the wolf takes a bite of his candy necklace. He says, "You see, that's the problem with fairy tales. A wolf always wants to eat somebody, right? Red Riding Hood, Grandma's on the menu, Three Little Pigs, all that huffing and puffing, blowing houses down for what? To eat some dirty little pig that's building his house made out of mud? It always ends with the same stereotype. That's our legacy, just waiting and lurking and hiding for the right moment to pounce on some poor kid or old lady in the bathroom, right? You see, what just happened, first thing out of your mouth is, don't eat me. Do I look like I want to eat you? We're having a conversation. At what point did I make any advances towards you like you were going to be on the menu or I was going to kill you? Pixie just now looks at him, says, "Oh, I'm sorry." As the wolf looks at her and says, "That guy was going to kill you." You see, as he holds up the bartender's wrist and it has an X on it. This is what happens when you are evil. Sweetie knows who's good and who's bad. Now look down at your wrist. You can see it is the same as mine. You're lucky. Sweetie marked you, and now you are one of us. She chose you. And I know you're probably thinking right now, Pixie looks up at him and says, "What? Like I fell down some rabbit hole?" That explains why I'm talking to a wolf wearing a candy necklace right now. He says to her, "I was thinking more in the line, wow, how did I get so lucky tonight? And I'm sorry, is this awkward for you? The whole candy thing?" And Pixie says, no, not like the candy thing. It's more like taking back, you know, talking to a wolf thing. I am trying to figure out how I fit into your plans." As he slowly transforms himself back into a man, he says, "Okay, I understand. Say no more. This is what I do. I work for Sweetie, and now so do you. And of course, Tinsel over there." And they both look at the tree. He says, "That I am here to take you to Sweetie. There is a lot of good work to be done in this city. Sweetie is on a mission to make this world good again. And guess what? It starts right here. We have to get going. Sweetie is waiting." He looks up at the Christmas tree and says, "We got to get going. You take care of this, Tinsel." And the tree responds back to him and says, "It's done. We're good. This place will shine like Rudolph's blinking beacon." Now, as they walk into the snowy streets, they get into his car and she says, "And the tree talks too?" "Well, that tree's name is Tinsel." "Well, what's yours?" "Well, my name is Patty Pixie Sticks. My friends call me Pixie." "Oh, I see what you did there. Well, if that isn't destiny, I don't know what is." "Okay, Miss Pixie Sticks, let's bounce." And they get into his car and they drive off. As she asks him, "What is your name?" He says, "It's John Andrews, but my friends call me Candy Wolf." "Well, of course they do. I see what you did there, Candy Wolf." She looks up and says, "This is a nice ride, and it smells really good in here, like candy. So, what are you, like a henchman or a hench wolf?" He looks at her and says, "What you just experienced was the power of goodness over evil, Pixie. Evil's number is up. I'm just someone very fortunate, just like you, by the way. Sweetie likes to keep the company vehicle seasonal, and there is Christmas cookies in there if you like." And she says, "Wow, there is. Wow, this is pretty much the best thing that I've ever ate." "Well, of course it is," he says. "You're going to find that your life is going to be much sweeter from this day on, Pixie." And she looks at him and says, "Thanks for the jacket. I dress this way for work. This job is a way for me to earn money and, to live. And I usually dress pretty normal, but I want to save money and get back to school so I can get a better job. He says, don't apologize for the way that you dress or your formal profession. You made an honest living, and dancing is a beautiful thing. Your dancing job led you to a good job. She says, my formal profession? Do you mind if I ask where we are going? I told you I am taking you to Sweety. She has big plans for you. Good thing, Pixie. Just say that today you got a sweet life upgrade. She says, well, I'm sorry, I have questions. Who is she? He says, well, she is Sweety. Yeah, well, I got that. I don't understand any of this. Why does she have fangs? Is she some kind of vampire? Is she a candy vampire? He says, well, I have fangs, and she's got fangs too, and I'm not a vampire. Are you even serious? Did you not see my other form? Clearly, I'm a wolf, Pixie. And there is no such thing as vampires, Pixie. And she says, right, coming from a talking candy eating wolf, how could I ever make that mistake? Am I even having this conversation? Can you see how I might be asked this question? He says, actually, no, I can't. She tells him, I just want to know what is going on, Mr. Candy Wolf. Well, I work at that bar. What's gonna happen when Scurvy, the bar owner, finds out that she, Sweety, killed his people and those two goons that worked for him? He's gonna come looking for me. Candy Wolf now looks at her and says, you have nothing to worry about. I am taking you to Sweety, and there is a lot of work that needs to be done in this city. Sweety's on a mission to make the world good again. She's like, yeah, I know, you already said that. But who is she? He says, she is the most wonderful creature in the world, and you are one lucky pixie. I am going to tell you the story of Sweety, the candy vigilante. She is the daughter of the candy man. Yes, the actual candy man that makes the sun rise and sparkle. He's going to rid this world of everything bad, and you better believe she knows who's good and who is bad. She's like Santa? That's funny. Santa? No, she's not Santa. Santa actually, well, let's just say he's involved with her. She says, involved? Right. Just like the ice cream bunny seems to be involved with her. He's like, well, yes and no. As they pull up to where Sweety is, Candy Wolf says to live the good life, everyone needs a little sugar in their lives, Pixie. And she says, yes, they do. As Sweety walks up to the car on the snowy New York street, Sweety steps into the back seat of Candy Wolf's car, and he says, Sweety is gonna run this town. She's the new candy boss. And as they drive off, end of chapter 2.